Hello, YouTube. Welcome to Doug's Thoughts. I'm your host, Doug Robbins, and this is a podcast by a creative writer for creative writers. I saw a little short interview with Saraya Knight, aka Paige from WWE. Now she's in AEW, and she's talking about tribalism and wrestling amongst the fans. And she was talking about, the wrestlers don't have that. They're genuinely happy for each other. Like in both companies, you don't get over in this company, you don't, then you have another place to go. And again, makes sense. Um, and she was uh, saying, those wrestlers don't like the crazy internet fans like that on Twitter. They're like mean to the wrestlers, and it's like, yeah, no, that's fair. They shouldn't be mean to the wrestlers, but it also sounds like it really is amazing the lack of self-awareness that American society honestly has today. Like people in it, no bullshit. Um, because it's like, dude, I mean, welcome to 2024 American life. I mean, I got news for you folks. Fucking everything's tribalism today. And why? Because the media has fanned the flames, bigger on what? Politics. Um, there was some tweet by some smart ass Democrat, and I can't even remember everything that was said, but it was a pot shot. There's a pot shot, like, yeah, sit down and read sit down because Jesus said to, and blah, blah. And another person, I think it might have been on Facebook, but they responded to it. And I said, yeah, that person's an asshole or something, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, well, we can just, it's like, well, I wouldn't go that far as a name calling because, uh, we can differ in opinion. And which again, and, which of course I had to respond back. And I was like, to people that deserve it. But, the way I took it, the post was they were being disrespectful, and they, I didn't feel like uh, the Democrat was like that, because you wouldn't respond snottily like that. Like it didn't feel professional. It didn't feel like a banter, especially with the sit down because Jesus said. It was more personal shots. And I told him like, hey, to someone that would deserve it, that's actually being professional. But I felt like they were being, basically not in these words, but like a snotty little bitch and making it more personal. It's all about deserving. And they sent back one of those like shocked face emojis, but it's true because, and again, like Saraya with the wrestling thing, was thinking of it like basically giving credit for shit that 2024, I'm sorry, I don't think a lot of people have done because, and it's hard, the media has fucked everybody up, guys. I mean, they have really caused this tribalism. And because, I mean, you got Pink saying, if you're pro life, don't come to my shows. You know what I mean? Like, that's not, I disagree with you. I mean, motherfucker, I write stuff. I don't give a fuck. Yeah, I'm a conservative, but fucking pro-choice, pro-life, pro get humped by an alien and artificially inseminated, whatever the fuck weirdo kind of bullshit I mean, I don't care, buy my shit, read my shit. Exclusionary thinking. You know what I mean? And again, to that lady, that again was keeping a perspective that I myself have said, that I really do want people to have that, not necessarily higher thinking, but like basically, like Eric Bischoff said, the media is like pro wrestling. We're not trying to get you to think, we're trying to get you to feel. And that's why they got all these, polls, and that, it's more like, well, if you vote this way, which again, it's not even so much of like the sensibilities of a nation overall changing and tilting. It's this like unwarranted hate. Like I feel like, wonderful people like that are giving too much credit to people, because I just feel like today, especially in politics, people are way too snotty and don't deserve. Like, you can tell the people that deserve that respect because they're just stating their opinion and it's different than yours, versus like, I mean, it's hateful. And now, should it be as hateful in wrestling? Obviously not. It should be fun, but uh, anybody that watches Vice, uh, there's a Dark Side of the Ring documentary, and one of them was on the Macho Man and Miss Elizabeth, and Bruce Pritchard, who played Brother Love and has also been on their creative team, WWE's, for years and years. Um, he's like, we don't know what Liz and Macho Man were like in real life, but he said, to the fans, it's like, but we know what you said, and it's like, so they were, kind of scared for her, and because he was a good heel, because again, to me, he was one of those guys. He was a cool heel. He was like, people. He was supposed to be hated, but I thought he was like neutral as fuck. Like, he could literally be good or bad. Um, it was more just the personality and the intensity more than whether he was good or bad, in my opinion. But it's like that. And a big reason why, again, trickle down effect. I mean, brother, if American politics is like that, I mean, movies are like that. I mean, my God, especially on the internet. And why wouldn't it trickle down to wrestling? Fucking sports teams. And again, it's like, same thing with sports. Like, people don't just like, oh, I'm a Yankees fan. Well, I'm a Reds fan. They're like, they look at it like they're, but it's like, you're basically getting ribbed in like a real hateful, ugly way, whether or not they mean to. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of asshole bullying without probably even knowing they're doing it. Now, tribalism in wrestling. If you look at AEW and Tony Khan, he was meant as AEW was a place for wrestling fans to have an alternative to the WWE, which is all well and good. But his top show was like when it was beating NXT, which now NXT is beating AEW. But and he's acting like, oh, we beat WWE. which is fucking, congratulations that your top show is barely beating out WWE's developmental. So that's a little spoony and, a little dirt to dirt. But, and you think brand loyalty, okay? WWE has been around for years. And so that's the top wrestling company. And, Tony Khan sees himself as like the next WCW, but sees himself as better than the WCW. Um, which, again, like people like my brother that were big WCW fans, that back then preferred the WCW over the WWF, they don't want to fucking hear this asshole cocksucker making fun of WCW like, well, here's what killed them or they're better. And again, they've never lived up to, they, like the old expression goes, they couldn't carry WCW's jock. They can't carry WWE's jock. So he's taking pot shots at them, at two big companies, two big fan bases of, at one time, the two biggest companies, wrestling companies in the world were the WWE and the WCW. And this little pissant nobody that's the son of a fucking the Jacksonville Jaguars owner. That's the only reason why this cocksucker has the money. He's a little fucking curly haired twerp. They call themselves the Elite. And I don't know the dumbass's name, but there's a spoony fucker that does this and jiggles his fucking crotch in the other dude's face. Is just really, like stupid shit that you say, well, we're better than them, but you try to be a much worse gay friendly fucking, you know what I mean? Like stupid storylines that have nothing to do with wrestling. You can't even get 1 million viewers, and yet you think you're so wonderful. You know what I mean? Like just stupid shit. Now, tribalism in WWE, tribalism in wrestling. Like we've talked about, brand loyalty, the way American society is. The way your reputation is on camera. Well, again, Brian Alvarez and Dave Meltzer. You have wrestling journalists that aren't really journalists that, are siding with AEW and artificially, padding numbers, trying to make them sound more wonderful just because they have a hard on against the WWE. And now they've lightened up since, Vince McMahon's out there and now it's Triple H. But, like they said, AEW, Dave Meltzer and Brian Alvarez are AEW marks. They're fans, they're shills for AEW, and like Dave Meltzer has reported shit that wasn't right and still refuses to retract it. Like, and he's had several stories exposed. You know what I mean? And it's like, I don't understand because, again, we don't know about these wrestlers' lives, like The Undertaker said, you guys know what we let you know, which is fair. And I totally understand, from the wrestler's point of view. Hey, man, we're happy that there's an alternative. That if I don't make it in WWE, I can go to AEW. I don't make it in AEW, I can go to WWE. Whatever the fuck. There's still TNA. You know what I mean? And like Dana Brooke went there. Naomi went there for a time and came back. Nobody makes fun of TNA. Now, again, are they smaller than AEW? Yes. But they haven't gone on camera where all their wrestlers are, and especially Tony Khan, have said, well, we're so much better than the WWE and all that. Because, again, I can't remember what wrestler said it, but it was like, you know, basically, we know you by the shit you say on TV. Because we might hear rumors about you guys, but a lot of them turn out to be false, or your words were twisted around, yada, yada, yada. Might have been Bischoff, but basically, we know you by your characters on TV. You know what I mean? And you have to tell us, like, with Saraya or Paige. But the fact that I have to keep calling her Saraya, it's like WWE did a really smart ass thing, and I don't mean sir, I mean a very intelligent thing. Um, because they're so ruthless with the characters, the fact that you have to call Saraya by her real name in AEW versus Paige, which is what everybody knows her about and actually gives a fuck. Um, Basically, since they're so WWE, and especially when Vince was running it, are so like anal about we own your name. So like when the Ultimate Warrior changed his name to Warrior because WWE owned the intellectual property of the Ultimate Warrior, so he changed his name legally to Warrior so he could have that uh, name. Uh, so these guys don't even own their own name, thanks to the WWE and like Jim Cornette talked about back in the day. They didn't do that shit. So like Vader, for example, he went to Japan. He was Vader. When he went to WWF at the time, now WWE, went WCW, he was Vader. You were known by one name. Now, thanks to the WWE, you got to go from Paige to Saraya. Uh, you know, go from Mr. Ass, Billy Gunn to Daddy Ass. Yeah, AEW does not do smart, good fucking game. You know what I mean? You're fighting an uphill battle, guys. And again, we don't know you wrestlers from any other perspective than the fans. And we know that Tony Khan ran his mouth on the WWE, bashes them, WCW, praises himself. Why the hell wouldn't the fans be tribalistic over that? In a society that the media has already made us tribalistic anyway. Why wouldn't they be that way over wrestling? So thanks for listening. Have yourselves a great day.